Hello, hello. Anybody there? Anybody with me? Can you hear me? I'm just making sure this is all working. Okay, we got somebody. Let me make sure I can read the comments here. Let's see. Show live chat messages. All right, if somebody could please just thumbs up. I like that. Thank you very much. So thank you for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started here in a minute. I'm standing here at an Airbnb in Rome, Italy. It's I'm going to say that wrong. Ferragosto. I think it's the 15th. Hey, Julie. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Charles, thumbs up. It's Ferragosto, which is the 15th of August. I don't know exactly what it means, but it's a big deal here. Almost everything is closed. I guess it's kind of like 4th of July in America. Matt loves Rome. I mean, it's amazing. I can't tell you how beautiful it is. And good morning. It's actually good afternoon here in Rome. Loving your content. Thank you, Michael. Matt, thank you, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in the middle of your day, presumably. Making time and energy, and I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I try and travel the world and share with you best practices. Typically those best practices for me, and I think a lot of our guests, are to stay at Airbnbs that get reviewed very well and have a lot of stars and reviews and good feedback and superhost status. And that's cool, and that's what we strive for. But I thought I wanted to do something a little bit different and go with something that had little, if any, reviews. And so I'm actually the 4th person staying at this Airbnb here in Rome. I met the host, really cool guy. We got to speaking. He's now subscribed to the YouTube channel. He loves the content. He's really serious about his business. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But what I wanted to do is, one, really reach out and thank each one of you. We're now at 2,000 subscribers, which is just phenomenal. We have over 100,000 views, which is just mind-blowing. On the Facebook group, the secret group, we have over 1,000 members. So our little community here, what started off as, like Charles and I and just a couple of people, is growing. It's growing quickly. We really appreciate your time, your energy, your feedback, your comments, your likes, your shares. And like anything else that's community-based, it's really based on the quality of the community and the content that the community, the questions that you guys pose, the feedback that you guys pose. We haven't included any sort of guidelines. We haven't felt it's necessary. But as we grow, we think we're going to start instituting some of that. Moderators and guideline comments, so we don't really want any solicitation. We don't want any negative feedback. We don't want any rant for ranting's sake. If there's questions, we want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. We're really transparent. We're trying to learn. But this is all meant to be positive and growth-oriented and supportive. And we don't want to get to a place where people come and just troll and say negative things, and it's just not really what we're trying to do. So anyway, without further ado, I want to just thank you. I really appreciate your comments and your feedback. Please like this. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you know anybody who's hosting or thinking about hosting, share our stuff. I'm told constantly that we're generating lots and lots of revenue and lots of 5-star reviews for people, which is really what it's all about, and that's what keeps us going. So what I thought I'd do right now is just share the Airbnb that I'm staying in here in Rome, just walk you around a little bit so you can see what drew me to it in terms of the listing, and then we can talk about why I decided to stay at a place that only had 2 listings and why I'm the 4th person staying here, and why I did that, what I've learned from it, what the the host who put me here told me, who actually turns out to be a super host. So that's one of the lessons. So let me go ahead and share this. I'm going to turn this thing around, and you're not going to see me, thankfully. So this is the place. It's in a walk-up. So I walked up about 4 or 5 flights of stairs. All the lights are off. Maybe I should turn them on. I apologize. But you walk in here on this upper level. Super cute little fireplace, little dining area. This is only a 1-bedroom, so this is really all you need. Really cool little living room area with a television here. And then look at this. I mean, this is just remarkable for a city of Rome to come out here and have this amazing private little garden area, patio. It's got a heater, so if it was like a little cool, you could do that. It's got an umbrella. And then I'm gonna try and show you, I don't know if it's gonna work, but the Spanish Steps are only like 3 minutes away. So you can see how cool, you know, the neighborhood is. It's a great location. This outdoor patio area is super cool. And now let's take you into the bedroom, which again, the lights are off. So let me try and turn those on. A little sitting area, and then just the one bedroom with a little television. Nice, clean, neat, efficient. Right, I don't need much more than that. This here is all of the closet area, which, you know, feels very European to me. It's different than what we have in America. And then just a very efficient little kitchenette and a beautiful bathroom. I love the tile. Let me turn this on. Look at this tile. And again, a European, you know, shower in a bathtub. Duvet, toilet. One thing that I wanted to share with you all is they use these little shampoos. You can see that. They've got these little soaps. You can see that. The towels are folded just so. More of these little soaps. And, you know, they've taken a little bit of time and energy, some flowers, a little bit of chocolate stuff. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and try and put this back. I don't know if that worked, if you guys could see that. Maybe somebody could send a comment and let me know if you could see what I was trying to show you. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put this back. So anyway, really cool spot, unbelievable location. The price was right. And I found myself falling into the same trap that I always do when I find a place that I need an Airbnb. I look for the most reviews and the highest number of stars and the right price point. And I think that that's what most guests do, but that's really sort of unfair to the newer host who's trying to break into it and may have a better listing and a better price point. And since we're all about, Charles could see great, and since we're all about educating people and taking people from the early stages all the way through to Superhost and so on, I kind of thought, gee, I'm missing something here. Let me see what a new experience looks like for the host and the guest. And so I spent a lot of time looking at like newer listings. It still had to meet my criteria in terms of value and cleanliness and location, but I compared it relative to, you know, places that had 4 or 5 star reviews, 100 reviews, and so on. And what I found, which is, you know, no surprise, is maybe a better value, maybe somebody who actually cares a little bit more, somebody who's trying to get involved with it. The communication was instant, the responsiveness was amazing, and I could tell that they really cared, and I really liked the location and the unit. Once I clicked on it and started communicating with them, it became apparent that they were a Superhost, and this was a new listing for them. So they're not necessarily new to hosting, but they're growing their business, and this is a new location for them. Would you suggest that a new host, we're going to talk about questions and answers in a little bit, but I'm glad to see that I can see the pop-ups and so on. And so in speaking to them, I realized that they were really interested in growing their business. They had never heard of our channel. They're now subscribing, and they're sort of like, you know, watching the videos, looking to get some of the tips. And I said, listen, you know, how's the Airbnb business been working for you guys in Rome? And it's fantastic. It's like their full-time job. So they started with 1 listing. That went really well. They bought a 2nd place. Now they had 2 listings. That went really well. Then they went to their 3rd place. I think this is the 4th place that just went online, like, I don't know, about a week ago. Next month, they're doing a 5th place. And a month after that, in October, they're doing a 6th place. So they're quickly amassing this real estate empire. You know, I call mine my 15-year plan. I don't know if they have a name for it. Maybe they haven't even realized that it is a plan, but they're doing it. And it's just really, really taking off for them. I asked about whether they use any of the other services like HomeAway or VRBO or Booking.com, and their response basically was they haven't needed to because they're meeting all of their income demands and their occupancy demands with really great people on Airbnb, but as they continue to grow, they're going to go ahead and start to look at some of these other services as well. But in the meantime, they're putting together a small real estate empire of little, this is a 1-bedroom in great locations, taking, the time to, you saw the potted plants outside, and they have people that come and water them, and, there's a lot of care and attention here. To put this in perspective, I think my 1-bedroom, I'm only staying one night. I'm going hiking with my kids tomorrow, and that's a whole different thing. It's 110 miles, 3 different countries, the Alps. We start in France, then we go to Switzerland, then we go to Italy, and it's a big circle, 110 miles. And there where we're staying is, they're called huts, but it's basically small bed and breakfasts, hostels, hotels, and I'm going to do as much as I can to learn from them and film it and send information to you guys and videos and so on. But in the meantime, I'm staying here for one night only. I looked at hotels, I looked at Airbnb, and to put in perspective, this is about $130 US per night, and an average hotel here in Rome, yeah, that hike is going to be amazing. It's with 3 girls. My girls are 12, and 15. They've never done anything like this, but we're going to push ourselves physically. It's about 10 or 11 miles per day, sometimes as much as 3,000 to 6,000 vertical feet in a hike, and sometimes 3,000 to 6,000 vertical feet down. And then we're just going to, carry everything on our backs and sleep in the city where we finish, and it's going to be amazing, just together, kind of off grid, before school starts, end of summer. And I think it's going to be an experience that we'll never forget. So I'm really pumped about that. And I'm also really excited to see how people have hospitality, at 10,000 feet or whatever in the Alps. We're getting supplies and basic materials and laundry and water and things that we take for granted in some of the cities that we operate. They're doing it up in the mountains. So again, we're going to be learning as much as we possibly can. But the point about the bed and breakfast here, the Airbnb, is that this is about $130, and an inexpensive hotel in Rome is likely about double that. And a, call it like a 4-star hotel or a 5-star hotel is easily triple, 4 times, even 5 times that per night. And to tell you the truth, this little 1-bedroom that I just shared with you is probably nicer than a 5-star hotel. Maybe it doesn't have the service and the convenience, right? There's no room service, but as far as the space, the air conditioning, the size, the little kitchenette, the outdoor balcony in Rome is unbelievable, right? So if I were staying here for a few days, that would be just unbelievable. I'd just live out there. I'd do work, I'd write my book, I'd film videos. So anyway, I wanted to learn what it looked like to stay at an aspiring host place. As it turns out, the host is really successful and growing a business. This is a new location, but he still has the same challenges that we all have, whether we're new to hosting or we're just coming up with a new location, which is trust. We don't have that trust yet. And how do we do it? And I think that the way that they did it, and they convinced me to stay here, is similar to a lot of the strategies that we've talked about on the videos, which is, start at a lower price point to build that trust and credibility, take great photos, take photos of the neighborhood, take photos of the location, talk about the convenience as to where you are, all of the things that, when I was looking at it, I was like, I'd like to stay there. And it outweighed the fact that they didn't have 100 4 or 5-star reviews. Even though I was drawn to that, and that's my normal go-to, I was able to look past that and say, this might be a superior experience, it's a great location, it's a right price point, hopefully they care more. Their photos and their title and their description show me that they care a lot. So that was sort of compelling, and I went for it. Now, the other point that I wanted to make on this live and then turn to some questions and answers is, the opportunities on a global basis are just so amazing, and we're still, even though we're all finally tuned into it and we spend a lot of time and energy on this, we're still such in the early stages, right? Like the fact that this individual here in Rome has gone from 1 property to 5, and he had never heard of our YouTube channel, and he has friends that are still asking questions about Airbnb, and they don't really, it's not formalized. I envision a world where just about everybody does Airbnb at some point, whether they stay in one or they put out their home or their apartment when they're not using it. And when they're not using it, it could be as simple as, we're taking a family vacation in August, we're going to Disney World, we're putting our house on Airbnb to pay for Disney World. And we're nowhere near that yet, which means that the opportunity for entrepreneurs like ourselves, whether it's freelance entrepreneurs, part-time entrepreneurs, or full-time entrepreneurs on this Airbnb short-term rental thing, I think is amazing. And so to the extent that people are watching and learning and thinking about getting started, I encourage you to get started. There's not a ton of risk. You want to abide by all the laws and make sure that you're abiding by your community and you've got good people in there so you're not upsetting your neighbors. I mean, be a good person about it. But I encourage you to get started. I don't think there's a lot of risk, and you'll quickly find out whether it works for you and you enjoy it and whether the income's meaningful. And I think that without any question, I can point to thousands of people that I've spoken to that are making very significant amount of income, enjoying it tremendously, and are investing a significant portion of their future time, energy, and money going forward. If you watched my last YouTube live, that includes me, right? I mean, I'm in the process of buying 2.5 acres in Bali. We're going to develop this little eco-village, put 10 to 15 different villas there. You know, that takes time, energy, money, but I think the opportunity is just so fantastic. So I encourage everybody to keep doing what it is that you're doing. Taking the time and energy to share your comments and feedback and questions with us helps us all get better at it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please like this video. Please share the YouTube channel with your friends or neighbors that are thinking about getting started. Because again, our community is only as good as we are, and the bigger our community is, as long as we make sure that we have the right guests and the right tone, the better it is. So I'm going to pause. I've spoken now for about 16 minutes. Living the dream. I'm so excited to hear about your Bali project, Bridge. It's going to be amazing. Every day we're getting more and more done. Tomorrow, the person that we're working with to do the concept, right? Because when it's a project this big, you don't just put up villas wherever you want. We're creating this whole design. It's built into a slope side with unobstructed ocean views. And so the question is, you know, where do you put the first villa and the second one and the third one, and how close versus how far? And we want privacy, and we want it to look really organic, right? So it's not like a motel where you just have maximum number of villas. We want it to have a real look and feel. One of the things that I'm pretty serious about is making it feel like it's always been there, which sounds ridiculous, but with the right concept and the right landscape, it'll look like it's been there for a long time. Not trying to make it look antique, but just make it look natural as opposed to unnatural. So anyway, please go ahead. I got a pop-up that my battery is low. Please go ahead and ask any questions that you have about Rome, about Bali, about your own location, about the opportunity set. But I wanted to check in. I finally have good Wi-Fi, and wanted to take advantage of it, let you guys know that, you know, not only are we creating good content, we're constantly learning, we're thinking about you, we're thanking you, we appreciate you. Again, I mean, 2,000 subscribers, 100,000 plus views, 1,000 Facebook members. I'm just in awe. I mean, I would have never thought this would have happened this quickly, and I'm really excited about the future, and I'm really grateful. So, all right, question time, please. Thank you, Pilar. My pleasure. Thank you for all your work. Listen, you guys make it easy. Airbnb is just the really great, you know, what I like to call it is the democratization of hotel industry, right? We can each be our own little hotel, our own little lodging, our own little hospitality. The project that I'm working on, what about a property in a small town with too much traffic? I'm getting some booking.com and Airbnb. G-Man, when you say too much traffic, what do you mean? You mean like car traffic? What I was just finishing that thought, the project that I'm working on with Airbnb now, you know, it's like my own personal brand, right? I'm creating something, a concept, a vision that's going to resonate with me, that I'd like to stay at, and the people that are attracted to that same sort of vision are going to want to stay with me. And if it works, we're going to do the same thing in different countries and different regions. Would I suggest a new host state in their profile or in their property listing? Let me see if I can't figure out how to get the chats coming up again. Hey Charles, you want to bump that up again? It pops up and then I sort of like try and read it, but it goes away kind of quickly. Seems like a good question, so I'd love to answer it. Would you suggest a new host state that in their profile or in the property listing? I don't know that I would state that you're a new host necessarily, but what I would emphasize is that you really care and that this is an important part of your future. How about using Instagram and Facebook to promote your listing? Yeah, listen, I met somebody who, social media is just unbelievable, okay? Let's just talk about that for a second. In this Bali project, I put a photo of an antique, it's called a joglo, which is kind of like the villas that we're going to use. They're actually antique. And I put a hashtag of joglo on there. And through social media, people that own 175-year-old antique joglos on the island of Java, absolutely gorgeous, you know, like family heirlooms, 175 years old. These are big buildings, and you take them apart, there's no nails. That's how we're going to, you know, use the basic frame for all of our villas. They're contacting me and sending me photos of joglos on the island, the neighboring island of Java. That's unbelievable. Similarly, there's a woman that I met when I was in Bali. She has a little micro brand also, Casas by Daniela, Bali. She has Casas by Daniela in Spain. She has Casas by Daniela in Formentera. And we met. I started following her on Instagram. She does great work on her Instagram. She shows guests by the pool, guests doing yoga, guests on bicycles. She shows the interior. She's not really selling the villa as much as she's selling the experience or the lifestyle. And it showcases sort of her brand and her personality. And when I've speaking to her, she gets most of her bookings through word of mouth and referral on her own website. She's on Airbnb, but it's a minor part of her business. And what's interesting is she and I started speaking, and I may use her or portions of her for the interior design because I like her aesthetic. So my point is answering that question about social media and websites. You gotta try it. You never know what's gonna happen. It could be the single best thing that you've ever done. Likely it's gonna take a lot longer than you think. It's not gonna be an overnight success, right? Like this YouTube channel wasn't an overnight success, but if you're good and you produce good content and you're persistent and you care, I think it'll work and it'll open up doors. Like this opportunity for me where I have enough people following and enough influence that when I put a hashtag of joglo, people are coming to me and showing me deals. I mentioned about an opportunity that I was thinking on an investment opportunity in one of my Instagram stories, and I had 4 or 5 deals come to me, people saying, take a look at this deal, would you be interested in investing in this deal? Now, if I had started on day 1, I can tell you that nothing would have happened, and with certainty it didn't happen. And I'm not at all suggesting that I'm really good at it or that I'm really big or that I'm really important, not that at all. It's just to say that when I started doing it, I had no idea that deal flow would come to me, that this would be an important part of what it is that we're doing. I just thought that we would put out really good content, the tips that I've been using to build my business, the hospitality things that I've learned, what I've learned from guests and other Airbnb hosts. I thought that that would resonate with people, and sure enough, it started to flow, it's starting to work. I think it's growing really quickly. I think it'll continue to get bigger, and I think that that's sort of the opportunity. So try it. Have I ever done a Groupon getaway? I haven't done anything that's discount related. That's a personal preference. Let's finish Matt's question. Would you suggest a new host state? No. So my point on all of that is I wouldn't outright state it as a liability. I'm not a big fan of like saying, hey guys, I'm new, because I think it draws the wrong attention to it. But what I would do is suggest that, you know, this is your first listing and therefore you really care, and even though you're looking at maybe other 5-star listings, my location is as good or better, but you're gonna get me 100%. It's my only listing. I really care about this. I want a 5-star listing, blah, blah, blah. What do you think of a model of where you purchase either duplexes or properties? I think that that's a really good opportunity, not necessarily with the model of a long-term renter and then a short-term renter. I'm a huge believer that one of the real benefits of real estate is that you can change your mind. You can sell it, you can long-term rent it, you can short-term rent it. In other words, I didn't catch the name of the person asking the question, but it may turn out that 2 long-term rentals is the best. It may turn out that 2 short-term rentals is the best. It may turn out that you living in one is better. It could turn out that you put a caretaker in one. I don't really know, the specifics, but my point is, one of the beautiful things about real estate investing is you have your hands, your ability to model and change and redecorate, go long-term, go short-term, sell one of them. Whatever it is that you need to do to monetize it and make your investment work, it's all within your capability. And that's very not real in many other investments, right? Like, so if you buy a stock, you can't materially impact what Apple does. But if you buy a house, you can redecorate, you can repaint, you can remodel, you can put an addition on, you can sell it, you can long-term rent it, you can short-term rent it. I mean, it's endless. So I think it's a good idea. I love the concept of having steady income, every single month, a check written, and then some variability around the short-term rental. My personal experience, what my gut tells me, not knowing anything about you or your situation, is that you'll quickly go to 2 short-term rentals because the amount of income is going to be that much greater. Okay, Charles, hit me with the next question, please. By the way, is the audio and video okay? The streaming is okay? G-Man would like your opinion on properties in small towns without a ton of car traffic. I mean, I think towns without car traffic, thank you, Pilar, I appreciate that. Cars without a lot of car traffic are amazing. I mean, those are great places that people go to visit. Again, if it's in the middle of nowhere, then that's not really a tourist destination, and an Airbnb listing isn't going to turn it into a tourist destination. But the communities that I know where there's very little car traffic are highly desirable. They tend to be, again, the ones that I know, they tend to be more like summer communities by beaches, and Airbnbs do really well in those communities, again, assuming that it's legal. I think that the biggest thing that people have to, contemplate when thinking about getting into the Airbnb space or expanding in the Airbnb space is not necessarily trying to create the next frontier vacation or business destination. Don't speculate on like, this town is hot, and this town is hot, and this one's only 60 miles away, and so I think it's going to be hot next, because Airbnb likely isn't going to be popular there either. But to the extent that there's people that are coming to visit either for work or for pleasure, or they live there, then I think an Airbnb and a short-term rental makes an awful lot of sense, because the economics allow you to make more money than a long-term rental. Lower price and competition with the saturated area to get a new listing traffic. Yes. I'm not sure who asked that question, but we have a video that talks about pricing strategies, and that's basically what we talk about, which is if you're launching in an area that has a lot of competition and you don't have all the different 5-star reviews and so on, offer a better value, and then communicate that you're giving them a good deal. You're aware that you're giving them a good deal, and set their expectations. Like, I'm hopeful that you're going to have this experience, you're going to experience this, it's a great location, you're getting a great deal, and if I really do all of the things that I just said for you, I would really appreciate and I would expect that you would give me a 5-star review, because that's sort of what we're doing here. Don't like be very direct and say, please, give me a 5-star review, you're getting a great deal. Be friendly. Pretend that you're at a cocktail party, you just met this person, and say, oh yeah, I've got this business, I'm just thinking about launching it, I'm really trying to get the right people in there. In exchange for getting the right people in there, I'm giving them a really good deal. Good deal is measured by it's a lower price point, it's a really great convenience, it's a bigger place than most, I've checked all the competition. I really just want to get the right people in here, have them have a really great experience, and if they have a really great experience, it's in my experience that they're going to give me a really good review, and that works really well. And so again, just try and be friendly and social about it, use etiquette, don't be like, here's a good deal, give me a 5-star review, and bang them over the head. That's not going to work. What else? By the way, you see this watch? It looks really nice and really expensive, and it may or may not be, I'm not sure. Somebody gave it to me. I mean, I just said to somebody in Italy, I don't know, 2-3 days ago, I said, I really like your watch. Could you tell me who makes it? And he said, you like it? And I said, yeah. I'm ad-libbing a little bit. There's a little bit more to that. But anyway, next thing you know, watch is off. given to me, and now I'm wearing it. Just be friendly, be nice. I know, it's crazy. So, and that's sort of the thing about Airbnb and hosting. Just be yourself, be friendly, be respectful. Anybody else have any questions? I like all these smiley faces, the thumbs up. We're at about 30 minutes now. Going once, there you go, Charles. So I'm gonna say going once, and then I'm gonna tell a little story. Tomorrow, I'm going from Rome. We're flying to Geneva. From Geneva, we go on a bus or a van or something to the Alps in France, and then we're going to read what it is that we're doing the next day, and then we start our hiking. Again, just whatever we can carry on our packs. And so I've told my kids, you know, they're talking about sunglasses and sunscreen and books and laptops, and I'm just like, you can bring anything you want, but just realize you're going to be carrying it. And I tried to pare down as much as possible myself, and my pack is still really heavy. So I'm going to start with it, and it's possible I'm just going to let some stuff go along the way. You know, not litter, don't get me wrong, but at some of these huts, just tell them to keep it or recycle it or send it back to New York. Daniel, how do you manage your cleaning service outside your city? So that's a great question, and that's one of the biggest challenges, but it's also one of the biggest opportunities. And the way that I view that is I get really good people. I spend a lot of time and energy trying to find good people. The way to do that is to, you know, develop relationships with your neighbors, develop relationships with the person that gave you the loan at the bank, develop relationships with the person who sold you insurance. You know, just develop these relationships, be a good person, ask a lot of questions, be really grateful and thankful. And then those relationships lead to the next relationships. Interview a lot of different people, have them come and do the cleaning while you're there, see how they do, work with them, see how you communicate back and forth, see how clean they do it, talk to them about the products that you use, the products that you don't use, what your expectations are. And then I generally like to pay them a little bit more than they would make somewhere else, so they're a little bit more loyal to me. And then I try and be a really good partner in this, right? Like they're running their own business and I'm running my own business, so I try and be a really good partner. I try to be respectful. I try to give them as much notice as possible. I send them reminders. I make sure that they have whatever cleaning supplies they need or the ability to buy the cleaning supplies, and then I trust them. They submit the receipts to me, and then I, you know, reimburse them. You know, touch base. I've had almost no turnover at all, meaning all of the time and energy that I spend up front in that selection and in that training has stayed with me for years across all the different properties that I maintain. And that's huge, right? Because, you know, saving $1 an hour or $5 an hour and then having a problem and a guest check in and it wasn't cleaned and you having to fly out there, like that's a big problem. So for me, I try and do it right the first time, spend the time and energy, the training, develop that relationship, that trust, that partnership, and, you know, be somebody that they look to for steady, consistent, high quality income. I pay them as quickly as I can. And what I mean by that is, like, I'm traveling right now, so it's a little challenging for me to pay them as quickly as possible. It's not a cash flow thing. It's just sort of, I set up a parameter. So typically I pay people once a month, and they get me all of their details, and then we review it, and then we cut a check. But it's consistent, they can rely on it, you know, they can pay their mortgage with it. Just be a good partner. Okay, once. Still need to watch your Bali video, so you may have touched this, but we'll use the property management company to run the eco village. No, I don't foresee running with a management company. I foresee us using our, again, relationships that we have to develop relationships with people that really care and lean on us for income. We want to be part of that community, so I envision hiring local people, training them. The Indonesian and Balinese people in particular are really friendly and hospitality oriented, and they're hardworking, which I can't say about every country I've visited, but I can say that about Bali, and that helps me decide to invest in Bali. But I envision us managing it ourselves, and hiring people, and with any luck, these people will be with us not for 1 month or 1 year, but 10 years or 100 years. There was another question I thought was a good one. I forget what it was though. Charles, did you see it? Let's see. Somebody just asked a question. I'd like to answer it. So if you could maybe ask it again, that'd be great. It's a little liability of the technology. I'm just streaming using my iPhone, so the comment pops up. It's there for like a second, but if I'm speaking, I try and read it. Sounds like a great question, and then by the time I'm done speaking, I forget it. So put it back up and I'd be happy to answer it. Anybody else see it? Or any other questions? What kind of business entities do you set up for out-of-country listings? Okay, so this is a really good question, Bridge, and I'm glad you asked it. I'm in the process of doing that diligence right now. I'm a US citizen, I'm a law-abiding citizen, I'm a tax-paying citizen, I want to do everything correctly, and the good news is none of this is illegal. The bad news is that there's a variety of paperwork filings that I'm going to have to start doing. They're very well detailed. You need to get somebody on your team that's really well versed, your CPA. Hold on one second, this pop-up. Your accountant should be well versed with offshore filings. There's things called like F-bars, and I'm not going to pretend that I know it. I'm not going to give any legal advice. I am going to ask that you consult with somebody who is qualified to give you legal advice. There's all sorts of blogs that I've been reading which have been helpful about expats and offshore investing for Americans, doing it legally. So there's a whole host of things that can be done. But basically, the way that I'm thinking about doing this is setting up an entity in the United States that's going to invest in another entity probably in like Singapore, and that entity in Singapore is going to own a lease on the property in Indonesia, because in Indonesia only Balinese can own the land itself. So we have a series of leases which is completely legal in Balinese law on that land. We don't actually own the land, but in effect we own the land. And this partnership in Singapore is going to have the leases. I'm going to have an investment company probably in the United States, although it might be offshore, that invests in that Singapore entity. So it gets a little bit complex, but with proper guidance, it can all be done legally, and it's really exciting. I think it's a huge opportunity. It's sort of what I've been saying about, Airbnb being a global opportunity. I've played domestically in the United States. I'll continue to play domestically in the United States. I think the opportunities are amazing. I've been doing it, one at a time, single family homes. This is the opportunity to develop something a little bit bigger, a little bit more creative, and I'm really excited about it. And I fell in love with Bali and look forward to spending a lot of time there. So there it is. Okay, anything else? I hope everyone's having a great summer and that the weather's good, and we have a couple more weeks here before back to school, and I'm trying to make the most of it. I'm really excited to go spend that time with my kids and hike and get some real exercise and be outdoors in the fresh air and in the mountains, and just spending a lot of quality time together. I hope you guys are doing the same. I hope your Airbnb business is going well and growing, and that you have whatever support you need, to continue to grow it. Take some pics. I'm going to take plenty of pics. In fact, I mentioned earlier about how I had to shed a lot of stuff because of weight. I did manage to bring the drone, Charles, so we'll be trying to get some Alp, footage and B-roll, and I think it'll be really cool. We'll see. All right, well listen, I really appreciate everyone's time. Sorry for the short notice, but when I'm traveling like this, it's really dependent on the Wi-Fi. And arrivederci, ciao! It's really dependent on the Wi-Fi. I checked into this place. It was great. It beat my expectations. I wanted to share it with you. I took this risk in doing something that, was outside of my norm. I normally go with the super host with all these ratings, and I was like, let's do something different. It was really pleasantly surprised, exceeded my expectations. We have a new subscriber, the superhost here. He's going to learn and contribute, and that's what makes the world go round. So I appreciate your time, your energy. Please like it, share it, subscribe. We'll see you over at the Facebook group. Check out our Instagram, short-term rentals, and happy hosting. Namaste. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.